Prodigy Thunder. So, full disclosure, these arrived this morning. I didn't expect them to. I ordered them yesterday. It's like, all right, Amazon's just fast now. And I ordered them yesterday because I found out about their existence yesterday. So from finding out their existence, sleeping, waking up, opening a box, falling deeply in love, and making this video. That's the shortest turnaround time I think I've ever had on a product. These are the Rode NTH-100s. Rode. This Rode. Where? This Rode. See that symbol? When I did my first, well, no, more like third recording rig with the microphones, those are Rode M5s. Rode is known for microphone equipment. I'm sure you've all seen the Rode microphones that everyone uses for podcasts, the Rode microphone arms, Rode microphone. This is their first headphone. And I knew from the Neumanns, which we're going to discuss, there's piles here, currently piles, because I got to discuss things and what's happened in my brain. I know from the Neumanns that it's like, oh, when a good microphone company tends to make a headphone, it tends to be fucking phenomenal. And so I took the chance at $150. I'm like, all right, that's like M50X money. That's like M50s. Everyone knows M50s. They suck. Fuck you, M50s. Again. These prove even further, fuck that whole sound, whatever they're trying to do with that. I brought out 6 headphones that they don't become completely, unnecessary because these exist. But these headphones fuck up the whole goddamn ecosystem of headphones now. Because it's a closed back for $150. All right, in fact, Drop is even giving me a coupon for the R70X, which you can get in the description, getting the R70X Hyphemans for $100. Use the coupon code for $100. Those you're going to watch the rest of the review and be like, I'm just going to save $50, Zeos, and then I'm going to go buy those. I really do love these headphones. They sound like Sundars, but closed back. Bass light, comfortable. If you add clamp, by doing that, they actually fit comfortably. And these are one of the big 3. These are the big 3 of affordable closebacks. Because Zeos never wants to not be without a recommendation. Because they have one thing to recommend. I need under $100 open back. Ship 9500s, cost KPH 40. That's it. You don't need more than the 2. Closebacks, it was really rough. We had tax stars back in the day, and then things sort of just fizzled out. We had M40Xs for the longest time, but they required pad swapping and wires. So it was like, all right, so at some point, these 3 showed up in like a month, 2 months of each other. And the way it works out is this. R70X, natural sounding bass light, very open. For a closed back, you put them on, it doesn't sound like you're in a closed back. Fantastic, wonderful. Come on, the Sivga SVO21s. How many people have drooled over this build quality? The materials, the wood, those fucking pads, and then they're like a balance between enough bass to have fun, but enough clear, and they've got good soundstage. So it's like, this is an ideal closed back headphone. And then the B60 showed up. These are the blonde, or the Wugaza blonde B60s, and they're not the greatest build. They don't even they're all right. They're all right. They're not uncomfortable. They make weird noises. They don't look all that pretty, but holy fuck, if you needed a low-end headphone for under $200, this is your go-to low-end headphone. Not low-end like low-end in price, like low-end like shake the fucking doors of a Honda Civic low-end. So these had the best bass. These were the most light and airy and natural sounding, and these were like a middle ground and looked like this. So those are my big 3. Step in the Rhodes. Step in the Rhodes. I feel like there's a Roman joke in there somewhere. The Rode headphones are heavy. I pulled them out. I unboxed them 4 hours ago, so I know exactly how heavy they are. In fact, I can get the exact spec. In grams, they are 350 grams. I don't know how that represents. These are all lighter. Everything else is lighter. All of these, maybe except for the Neumanns, are like lighter weight. These things are heavy. Like heavy. And they're not planars, where they're just dynamics. They're 40 millimeter dynamics like the Neumanns. And they're made in Australia. Because everything that Rode makes is made in Australia. Not like kind of made in Australia, but really made in China. Made in Australia. And so it's like, that gives me a little bit, I have like a little tiny, like, for Australian things. I love the Audiophiles. My Caprice is made in Australia. I had a couple other Australian-made things. They're very hard to come by. Audio, and here's the weird thing, audio is impossible to get in Australia. So getting audio things out of Australia is like, that doesn't even make sense. So I unboxed these, and they're studio monitors. They're designed and sold by a microphone company to be worn in studios. They've got a bunch of accessories that work well with being in a studio environment. The wire can be put on either side for studio work. And you pick them up, and they another reason I bought them immediately is because they made this fucking claim that they're the most comfortable headphones ever in the world. They're not. Just gonna put that out there, Rode. I love you guys. You've done fantastic work. Definitely not the most comfortable headphone I've ever worn, but hands down, hand on my heart, hand on Chewbacca's grave, the most comfortable studio headphone I've ever worn. And I've got the selection here. We've got the Sony CD900 STs. These live upstairs in my desk. You don't see them very often. They've got Yaxi pads on them. They retail for about $181. The Yaxi pads are probably another $40. And they are the lightest, one of the lightest headphones ever. So the contrast here is like Bazinga. I don't want to say Bazinga. I hate that fucking show. I hate that whole concept, all right? Put the laugh track. Oh my God, someone needs to edit Zeos with a laugh track. I'll just do the awkward silences. It'll be great. So these are my upstairs comfortable, lightweight, perfect linear clamp. Just, headphone. How did I get onto the subject of that? Made in Japan, by the way. I've got the Neumanns, which this is a rebranded Sennheiser casing they made the Neumanns out of, with these incredibly stiff pads that are not comfortable, to the point where I will actually hang them in front of the heater because the memory foam in there gets so stiff in this basement that when I put them on my head, it feels like there's no pads at all. And it has to actually warm up to your skin, and then it floats in there, and then it's tolerable. They've never been comfortable. They've always been tolerable. And then finally, the $100, oh, you need a set of studio monitors, just for monitoring, mixing, and mastering that are neutral and you can trust them. Sennheiser HE280 Pros. These things are fantastic. 30 decibels of attenuation. These are only 20 decibels of attenuation. I haven't even gotten to those headphones. I want to get these other fucking headphones out of the way first. Use the time jumps if you want to jump around. By the way, support me on Patreon. $10 a month, ask any questions you want. Assembled in USA, which is kind of weird to have that there, considering that's Sennheiser, but I mean, fuck it. I'll take it USA assembled, as long as it's not, I wonder if the parts are all Chinese. I don't know. Attach cord, work really well on a tube. These are fun headphones when you tube them, and they're work headphones when you don't. So we've got all these choices, and all these headphones, none of those, or the M50s, or the M40Xs, or any of the other studio monitors I've ever bought ever are as comfortable as these. So they may be exaggerating by saying it's the most comfortable headphone ever in the world. There are others. But certainly in this, if you just said, hey, I'm going to a recording studio and have to wear a headphone for 8 hours, you could buy something like the Sonys and change the pads and they'll be comfortable. The 280 Pros, they clamp a little bit too much to be really comfortable. And the Neumanns, fuck, these are the least comfortable, but I own 2 sets of them because I trust them. These, with the Alcantara pads in this weird triangle shape that are not memory foam, but this Alcantara is it's not a very thick Alcantara. It's very, very thin. Like, it's tough. It feels like, I don't know, it doesn't feel like any headphone pad I've ever touched in my entire life. And that continues up here on the top where this headband is. And the clamp is not linear. It gets a little bit like stiffer, so I'm sure I could bend it in and out. I haven't had it for long enough to really decide if I want to remove some of that clamp, but it doesn't need it right now. It's perfect the way it is. Let's look at the build of this, all right? See us timestamp. Comes in that box, white box. Comes with a Rode branded dissecant. I've never seen, I guess Rode microphones, they just put enough of these things. These are the moisture observers. I've never seen one that's branded by the company that puts it in their thing. It's always just, random shit. It comes with these little colored rings, which if you look, I have it plugged into that. This is pink because I made it pink. It comes with black. Also could do blue, green, orange. So this is so when you're in a studio or you're doing like a podcast recording, you can just pop these little rings off with your fingernails and then say, oh, you're Mr. Pink and you're Mr. Green. So you know exactly which plug is yours in the mixer and which headphone is yours when you're using it. So you don't mix it up. And there's an important reason for that. Because it's just like, well, what's the difference, Zeos? What if I just get, someone else's headphone? Who cares? Well, well, well. By the way, single wire, wrapped in a nice loop, pinned straight. I like the material. It's a little bit light. It has a little bit of bounce to it. Far worse wires have come across this desk. I will not do anything negative about this. I will say, though, that it is a locking connector. And it's a slightly unusual locking connector. It's a 3.5 millimeter. And you get both sides of this. I actually put the little cap in here. There's a little rubber cap that comes with it. You can plug this wire into either side. It doesn't matter. If you have your mixing equipment on your left, you plug in your left. And then your wires on your left, it's not going across your chest. If it's on your right, you put it on the right. The amplifier here is to the right of my desk, so I'm going to plug this into the right. The little catches in there that this thing twists into would get in the way of almost any standard auxiliary cable you got to plug into it. That's the one negative of the whole headphone. We just got to it, all right? Is that you can't really replace the wire without either cutting out those little tabs or cutting out those little tabs. Because I've never seen this style of mechanism. I will say, though, it locks better than, like, here, watch. It locks better than 100% of the mechanisms I've ever had to lock a headphone into. And then you can take the little plug and say, oh, I'm not going to use the left-hand side. I'm just going to just put a little cap there. Little boops, little boop. There it is. So now it's all pretty and clean with a hole, so you can put a paper clip in it to peel it out if you need to. I don't know what these gold things, I don't know if this gold is magnetic. I don't know what it's for. All I know is it looks really cool. Triangular-ish cup, braille here, exposed wire to go from one side to the other, because it has to, in case you plug into that side, it has to bring the signal from one to the other. I don't know if you could modify the two inputs, if you built special cables, if you could get balanced out of it. Because you might be able to feed one side and then have the other side disabled, and feed this side and have the other side disabled, and it wouldn't affect it. Not sure. The build of this headphone. So it's heavy, like Zeos. Why is it so heavy if it's a dynamic? Because the cups are plastic. But this section here, because it only connects on one part, this twisted bastard is all steel. Look at that. I've never seen such a weird fucking, like, some Australian pig iron press went boom, and it made this. And it's beautiful. It's beautifully strong. It doesn't feel like anything it feels like it's designed to last forever. And then the other stuff starts coming in. So, okay, this is here. It rocks and it pivots. Now the adjustments. And they tout this as a feature. If you get it, remember I said, oh, we got a locking thing with your color on it. Why would you need to know it? Because the actual adjustment locks. You have to turn that to adjust, and you go from there to there, and I was about there, and you turn it again, and it don't move on both sides. And I don't know if it really bothers me, because no other headphones really have that, except for a couple of them had like screw terminals where you had to like unscrew it and then screw it back in. A lot of them are just like press fit, but it's kind of nice in the last 4.5 hours I've been using these headphones that every time I put them on, they're exactly the same length that they needed to be. Huh. So there's weight in the metal, there's weight in the locking mechanism. This is just spring steel. It says Rode there. Alcantara on top for no reason other than it just feels nice to hold it. That's the build. That's it. That's the build. Spring steel, locking mechanisms, awesomely bent metal thing that goes to a one part hinge, not a 2-part hinge, leaving the back entirely open and the front entirely open if you want to mount a mod mic or something. Zeos, link to the wireless Antlion mod mic, because you know what? These would probably game like a motherfucker. Okay, so we're gonna have to put them back on and listen. So instead of plugging into that, I'm gonna plug it into the Khadas Tea, because I have it out and it's plugged in and it's hooked up to the phone over there and it's playing. Oh, when I reviewed the Khadas Tea, I had said I got a preemptive unit and I didn't have the ability to switch between next track and volume. I was wrong. They just didn't tell me how to do it. So currently it's set to next track. If you hold the play, pause, / power button and the top button for a second, this green light turns blue. And now it's volume. Up and down. Squeeze it again. Green light turns blue. Next track. I'm dumb. Oh, Zeos timestamp. I have never... If these are... And here's the thing. I'm trying to pause that. That's not what pauses it. That's what pauses it. So that's what pauses it there. Okay. I wasn't going to do this review today. I unboxed them. I put them on my head. When these are comfortable. I brought them down to the burn-in rig. I moved some shit around on the table to plug it into the burn-in rig, and that was the first time I heard it. I plugged into the burn-in rig, and I set the volume, and I'm like, huh. Okay. And I put them down. And then I came and I did the sound demo for the stealths. I had to do the stealth sound demo. Those have to go back to their owner. And I'm like, well, I mean, while the rig is out and I'm recording sound demos, I might as well do the new ones that showed up. And I started doing the NTH-100s. NTH-100s. There's NTH-20 and NTH-100. The numbers and the numbers and the numbers and the letters stop. So I do the sound demo for the stealths. Comes out great. Then I put on these to do the sound demo for these. And I'm like, there's this weird phenomenon on the sound demo rig. If you know my sound demo rigs, sound demos are on the second channel. When I put the headphone on the mic, usually if the mic is here or here or here, everything changes how it records. Because it always just varies based on where the driver is. And I didn't do that. I put it on, and I'm like, I put on my Neumanns to monitor it, and I'm like, all right, let me move it now to get it in the right position to do a sound demo, even though I haven't burned it in, and I usually do burn it, but and it sounded perfect no matter what the fuck I did. And I'm like, what the fuck? So I ended up putting it back on my head, and I have all these fucking amps, and I'm like testing sound tracks, and I'm like, how are these headphones so fucking good? These are legitimately like amazing. Like, I was gonna do this review, and for the entire video, I was going to tell you they're $350 because they sound it, feel it, and look it. $150 is fucking dumb, Road. You fucked up. You could have totally tacked $100 more onto this and then given 25% of those profits to me. But they didn't. They dropped these at $150, and there is nothing about them that says, oh, that's only $100. Maybe the plastic cup. But then this is all steel, and this is all steel, and this is like really nice plastic. Like, you don't, this is like nice feeling. And the Alcantara, you don't put Alcantara on fucking $150 headphones. That's a $350 to $400 headphone thing. You want to compete with the Neumanns. These absolutely could come out and compete with the Neumanns. They just could. They'd be more comfortable than the Neumanns. They have the same setup with the wire on the right-hand side if you wanted to. And they're specifically by a company that makes microphones. But they didn't. This is Rode's fuck up. Rode priced these way too low for how good they are. Because of these headphones here, the trifecta here, if you want a lot of low end, you get the B60s. If you want very airy spaciousness, you get the RD7DX. And if you want the balance of it, you get the Civica with the comfort. These have the comfort, at least equal to any of these. At least equal, and certainly better than anything I've ever used as like a mastering headphone or a mixing headphone. They're all shit. This is the best one. But it at least equals, if not beats. By the way, did I tell you, the foam in here is not just foam, it's cooling gel. This is a cooling gel foam because it's fucking hot in Australia. It makes perfect sense. If Australians are making a headphone, they're going to make a headphone that keeps you from sweating your balls off. Because that's what they do all day. Or night. Whenever it's winter here, it's hot there. Just remember that. It's weird how the hemispheres work. So these are probably more comfortable than anything on the desk by default. Still not the most comfortable in the world. I would probably take the Lyrics over them as far as comfort goes. And maybe the new T60 Argons with the pads. But for sound, you want low end? These. You want airy, like clear highs? These. You want just a decently good staging. Because sound stage is one thing where it's like, all right, it's far away. Everything sounds far away, or everything sounds really close. Low sound stage, high sound stage. So there are like those, the Sendy Audio Apollos. Most sound stage of any headphone you see in front of you. The most. It's just way out there. But it's a terrible headphone for everything else. Yet it's on my wall. proudly because it does something the best, or the most, I should say the most. This puts the instruments just far enough away and just close enough that you're not losing any detail. So it's just the right balance of where things are. And then the imaging comes in and it's like, oh, well, these are mastering headphones. You got to have good imaging in them. So they absolutely have that. And then the detail is not, I actually listened to the Sonys for like 5 or 10 minutes. I brought them down here. I haven't had the Sonys off my desk in a while. And I'm like, I haven't tried them on the Musician Andromeda. Let's try the new Sonys on my Musician Andromeda. And I went from these to those and I went, oh God, these sound old. They made the Sony CD900 STs, which I love to death, sound just like they were 2 generations behind in development. And they're an older headphone, don't get me wrong. But they also, the highs started creeping in. I'm like, oh yeah, I really hear it. And then I switched back to these, and these sounded like the highs were subdued until I wore them in for another fucking 10 minutes. And it's like, oh no, there it is. There's perfection. These headphones replace a lot of headphones. A lot of headphones. A lot of headphones. And I'm glad they were released 2 days ago because I don't want to sit on this for very long. Because if you're looking for a closeback under $200, if you're looking for a closeback under $400, maybe even under $500, I'm just giving a glance. MMX 300s? See, those have exaggerated bass and exaggerated soundstage, MMX 300s. That's why I love them. But they're a gaming headset, so you get the microphone hanging off it and you look like a tool a little bit. These have non-exaggerated soundstage and non-exaggerated bass. I'll tell you what kind of bass they have, though, because I was listening to, let's take it off of this. We have to screw back on the adapter, which it comes with, by the way. We'll plug it into the Andromeda. We'll switch this to DAC mode, waifu stickers, and let's do another Prodigy song. I realized I used to listen to the Prodigy a lot, like 10 years ago, and I haven't listened to enough Prodigies now. So we do Medusa's Path or Memphis Bells. Or Minefields, or Narayana, or Nasty. Wait. There's a superpower in these where I just want to blow my fucking brains out with them. Because it's like you get a headphone and you find that like right volume, and I have to warn you, if you're like me, and you know there's a right volume where everything sounds like perfect, like you listen to it very quietly, it's like, all right, you could use a little more, it could just turn that volume. This could end my career with how loudly these headphones, and this should not be a thing that I describe a monitoring headphone with. They fucking rock. These are rock and roll. These are nasty. These get violently good. I would not play anything that loud that's over here. And maybe the blondes I'd push to like that sort of level and actually still find them enjoyable. These have a remarkable way of just letting you destroy your hearing, which is not what we want to do on this channel, but they can, and it kind of feels good. So if you've ever wanted a headphone for absolutely fucking mosh pitting, this, and yet somehow they're still monitoring, mastering headphones, you can still trust their frequency response. They're just a touch warmer than like dead neutral, which is fine with me, because guess what? Rode microphones are a touch warmer than just dead neutral response. So it makes perfect sense. Although you would think a headphone to master their thing would have to reverse it. Doesn't matter. These have enough impact, enough staging, enough detail, enough energy is the word. They're filled with ruthless Australian energy. Can I use that in the title somehow? I don't think I can. But they're fucking, like, it doesn't make sense that a headphone, a first headphone? A first headphone. Because Neumann is Neumann, and then they partnered with Sennheiser. So this headphone really is birthed from the merger of Sennheiser and Neumann, and the Neumann engineers worked with the Sennheiser engineers, so there was a background there. Rode hasn't made shit that makes sound. They record sound. They're very good at it. In fact, I'd love to know, what headphones do the people engineering Rode microphones use before this came out? That's just a question we should all be asking to each other. I'm going to change tracks. Instruments, bass. These are exciting to listen to. Legitimately, like, this is why when I put them on the burn-in rig, I was like, just standing there for like a solid minute, not moving. Because, like, how would you do this? How does a headphone come out of a fucking microphone company and then destroy every other headphone that's around it? I'm back to the Prodigy via shuffle. That's a sign. These, you know when you are looking for like neutral and you look at an EQ, you all seen EQs, right? You have the sliders that go up and down. Imagine that, like the zeros, like if you have it all the way across, that's perfectly neutral and that's fine. It's like Neumann's here. And then you have something like the Shure 1540s, which are also neutral, but it feels like every one of those sliders have been brought down to the bottom. And while it's still a flat line, I don't want to fucking listen to them. And then you have these Rhodes, which are absolutely a flat line, but pushed all the way up to like plus 10 decibels on every frequency. That's the best way I could describe them. It feels like someone's fucking with me and my perception of sound, because it's just like the one aspects of each one of these headphones. Oh, these have the best bass, so I'll focus on that. People want low end headphone, there you go. These are the most light, natural, and airy, so they spread out. Oh, R70X, coupon code in the description. And then the Sivkas are like the good blend of like really well built and comfortable, and they look good, and they're not that expensive. So we'll just get the Sivkas if you can't decide on either one of the other ones. So now these exist. The only issue you're going to have is you're basically going to be stuck with the wire, which is relatively long. It's, what are you, like, you're more than 6 feet. Hold on, you're like 8 feet. You're like an 8-foot cable. But it's not a terrible cable. If you wrapped it up nice, I mean, I don't know, my thing is I kind of want to take these out portable, which is why I had the Khadas Tea out. I kind of want to teabag these things, and I'd have to like loop this in my pants to do so. But we're back to that understated look. Like it looks like a headphone, but then you get like really into the detail of it. It's like, wow, this has features that I ain't never even dreamed of before. Like I didn't know I needed this. Now I'm gonna look at every headphone and be like, when I put on 909s, it's like I put that 909 on and I hear it go click, then I take it off, and one is down 2 notches and one is up 4 notches, and that's the most infuriating thing as an OCD person. It's gotta be like 3 and 3. You fuck crazy glue it. But then I put GoPros on my head, and then I have like a strap, and then it has to come down a little more. I'm done. These are the best headphones you can buy for $150 if you need a closed back headphone. They might be the best headphone you can buy for $150, period. End of line. And I'm amazed that Rode gets a fucking clap. They've forced me through marketing and hearsay and everybody messaging me. Did you see the Rode make it? To buy them and then just suck their D hard as fuck on camera. Because if you're going to get them, and if you don't understand what I'm saying as words in the audio that's coming out of this, why is this so dirty? They're fucking great. They are tremendous. That's the word. The Sivka SVO21s, fantastic. The Blonde B60s, very good. The R7DX over there, they're like workable, and they do an amazing job of imitating the Sundaras, but closed back. All these have their like bright points. None of these are like terrible headphones. But now you're just gonna buy these. And as far as studio monitors, I tried these, by the way. I had the Exto TA26 on. I warmed it up. I had to change DACs because one of the DACs has a bad connector. And I used it. It does nothing good for it. They're too low in ohms. And they're like 25 ohms or 32 ohms. 1 second. They're 32 ohms. But $150, number one in new releases in recording headphone audio monitors. Of course they are. Of course they're the only new release. When is there ever a new release in studio monitors? And like audio monitor? I don't think there is. And then, by the way, there's a small hazard. There's a choking hazard for 3-year-olds because they come with these. I'm shocked. I'm shocked. And I'm kind of glad I got this review out of the way today. Got them today. unboxed them today, tried to burn them in today, failed to burn them in, did a sound demo, review, and now I get to bring these up to my desk and leave these down here. That's kind of a sad ending to this video because I fucking love these. But that just means I get to pull these out and test amps with them. Haha, let's do that. Wallpaper in the description. Also, there's a wallpaper horde from Resilio Sync. If you want every wallpaper as I change it, like once I've changed that wallpaper to that wallpaper, I upload it to Imgur and I drag it to the done folder. When everything's dragged into the done folder, Resilio Sync syncs. If you want to know how to do that, check out my sound demo channel where there'll be a sound demo for this and the Resilio Sync explanation of how that software works in the link below to explain what you're doing. And Patreon and Subscribestar support this channel. So when I need to buy like a $150 headphone or a $500 amplifier, because everyone's like, oh, I don't have to go write emails, I can just buy it. I'm just going to start buying things. Old Zeos that everyone misses, oh, we were better in your apartment, Zeos, you felt hungry. I was just buying things. And now I've got to the point where companies just send me everything. So I just sort of sit back and wait for it to show up. I'm tired of that. I want to buy things again. So your support on Patreon and Subscribestar goes directly towards that budgetary shit. I'm gonna pave my driveway. I'll sell shit in yard sales to do that. I'll get sponsors to pave my driveway. You support me on Patreon and Subscribestar. That's gonna go to buy random shit that comes out because you are interested in it. Like this. I should buy another one of these actually, because they're gonna be sold out for fucking months. Patreon and Subscribestar support this channel. See reviews early. I'll probably only... Hi, patrons. How are you doing? And people on Subscribestar. You'll probably only have this for about a day or so because I want to get this video public. I like snapping my fingers in videos. It's fun. I didn't know how to snap my fingers for like the longest time. Like I was like 25 when I figured out how to do that. Get this shit out to you for a day. At least one day with the patrons so they could just buy them all. Buy them all, patrons. Buy them all, patrons. And then after you've seen the review early, you can participate in the yard sales, which will not have this in it. Will I sell any of my other headphones? We'll discuss that later. Oh, I didn't point out the bag, by the way. It has this vinyl O on it, which is the Rode O, but it's like it's like thick. It's like way too thick. Like they got the wrong vinyl. Like this is the kind of vinyl you put on your car and not a very thin like bag. So it's just like a stiff, like literally it's gonna peel off like a sticker. Anyway, there's your bag it comes with. Patreon, Subscribestar, see reviews early, participate in yard sales, lossless sound demos. Yard sales come first and 10th of every month. If you're a patron or subscriber, you can bid on things that I'm done reviewing or I just don't need on my shelves. If you join for $10 a month, you get into the private behind-the-scenes Telegram chat where those people are about to get a very exclusive voice clip because they don't even know that I got these and they don't even know that I just finished reviewing them. And guess what? They're going to know a full day before everyone else knows that I got them. So yes, let's do that. So if you want to ask me questions or anything, you can hang out. There's also a private swap meet channel. So if I've ever led you astray, you could take the failures that you've purchased because of me, put them in the swap meet and sell them to some other sucker. I mean, other patron of mine. And you're in that for life, by the way. You're in the yard sale thing. You're in the swap meet for life. You're in the chat until you just stop paying, but you're in the swap meet chat for life. Anyway, I got to go return all these headphones once they came. I pulled some of these off the wall. There and there. These are wall headphones. Not just any old shitty old headphone. These are wall headphones. These matter. And I'm telling you that these are just fucking destroying them. Rode, make these $350 and split the profits with me because that's how it's got to go. Anyway, download that wallpaper. I'll see you all tomorrow or the next day or April. Is it April? I don't know. I'm recording this at the end of March. It's coming out fast. For good reason.